try and start recording on this end. We'll see if... Looks like it's not taking a hit on the CPU. I'm actually streaming this on the PC that I built on a video. It's like an old pre-built that I just threw a graphics card and a better CPU into. Okay, need to adjust my mic really quick. Okay, so let's try and throw the back plate into the current design. Apologies for the resolution, it is not great, but there's really nothing I can do about that. But I am recording, so we'll probably see a re-upload of part of this stream later. So right now we're just trying to adjust this into place. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close enough. So it's going to be pretty wide and pretty thin, but shouldn't be too bad. Okay. So the question is, so what do we need to do next? Let's probably figure out how I'm gonna mount everything together. That's probably the next thing. So the next question is, what should we focus on? So currently we have this sort of horrible situation going on down here underneath with the bottom plate. The really tricky thing has been the BaneBot's gearbox. It's a P61 gearbox. That's what a lot of teams use for first. It's also a pretty common gearbox type for for 30 pounders. I know some teams, like if you've ever read the =0 blog, they're the team that brought Overhaul to BattleBots. The 30 pounder that team makes uses these gearboxes, so they're relatively common in the weight class. And the problem is they can't really easily be face mounted. I guess you could probably extend these screws, but I don't want to do too much modification to the gearboxes, because I think that just caused some problems. So I guess, so what I'm left doing is mounting using these screws here. So I need to, everything's just kind of thrown in there to get a really, really simple sizing estimate. But keep getting Steam notifications, and that is just distracting as heck. Okay, so let's try and figure out exactly how we want to mount these. Nope, not those. These middle bulkheads. So the idea is to have a sprocket in the middle that attaches to here and then just chain it. Get a little bit of mechanical advantage from that. But I haven't quite decided which sprockets I'm going to go with yet, which chain I'm going to go with. It really kind of depends. So the question is, the other question is, what are we going to do about this front panel? Because I can't exactly just leave it here, right? But I also can't exactly extend it past, because I want these forks to be able to go straight up and straight down, maybe even like kind of backwards into it to help with self-righting. That is the question. Well, what we can do is we can add in the wheels. Trying to go with the BaneBot's wheels. Insert one of those into the current design. They're these BaneBots compliant wheels. They're supposedly just have a little bit of they supposedly have just a little bit of sort of flex in them to let them adapt to different levels of terrain. But is that, yep, that is definitely intersecting the wall. Just gotta move it out just a tiny bit. It's not bad. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do for wheel hubs. I actually got, so the motors here are drill motors, which is, they're kind of the best idea, the best option in terms of low cost motors with gearboxes for drive. They're relatively cheap. I think I got these for like $8 a piece, which is for context, the motors I put in StompBot I think are $20, which is ridiculous. So these motors are about half the price of the motors I put in my ant weights. Because I got like a bulk. Some other team was actually selling off a whole bunch of them on eBay. So I got a ton of them for really cheap. But the difficulty is that I'm gonna have to try and figure out exactly how I'm gonna mount the darn things. So let's just multiply these wheels so we get a good idea of how everything's gonna go out. We gotta create copy. It's not gonna be perfect. I generally try and make it as good as I realistically can when I'm CADing, and then just kind of almost give up. Not give up, but sort of, I always try and keep asking myself, have I done enough or have I done too much, right? Because there comes a point when it's like kind of just almost wasteful to keep working on something. Okay. Getting just a tad bit of lag here on my computer. Like you can, I don't know. There comes a point when I'd rather just say, okay, the CAD is as good as it's going to get, and let's start working on the robot. And at least for me, my CAD's always, I can make my CADs look pretty darn nice, pretty nice, but then I always run into the problem where they're always not quite as nice, right? There's always little imperfections that can cause a lot of frustration sometimes. Okay. So we have a few more problems here. We have to look at this. This is kind of mounted flush to that, and I haven't quite decided how I'm going to mount that yet. So I guess the question is, do we want to use nut strip? There are these things called nut strip where it's basically, let's actually just prototype out some, nope. Let's just prototype out nut strip for a second. So it'd be, where's my measuring device? You can make nut strip, but also some companies like FingerTech sell some. So 76.2 millimeters. So we probably want, I'm going to go with 12.7, which is half an inch, which should let us get some decently big screws in there. Goodness, the resolution is really, really bad on stream. There's really nothing I can do about that. and then it'd be about 12.7 inches. So we got a rectangle there. How's it going, Zach? Hi, Connor, Andrew. Looks like we got a few people in chat, actually. How are you guys doing? We're gonna jump ahead in the music. It's because I know it's harder for me to talk and think when I have lyrics going on. So I don't know, I'm prototyping Nutstrip. We're not like actually doing it. Okay, so it's 76.2 millimeters, which means it's 38.1. Oh boy. Yeah, everyone's just waiting for the Vex game. I really think the Vex game is going to be I have a hunch that the next Vex game is going to be I think they're going to go back to launching. Not C8. Yeah, Champion Bridge. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, Champions Bridge. I have a hunch it's going to be launching something. I know we just had Turning Point, but I really think that they're going to go back to launching stuff. Why do I keep hitting C when I'm trying to hit 8? Frisbee Frenzy was pretty good too. See that one every time I go to the Vex Discord to see what's going on there. Yeah. I kind of hope they go back to beanbags, because wasn't that one of the first games was beanbags? I feel like that'd be a really interesting thing to do. Okay. So Zach, you were okay. Yeah, Worlds last year was kind of a disaster. At least for us. It was just like technical problem after technical problem for us. Heavy on object manipulation? Yeah, I think it'd be fun to have something pretty heavy. I think that could be pretty fun. Walls are also an option. I could see that happening too. But I don't know. I'm hoping for beanbags at least. I think that'd be an interesting challenge. How do you pick them up? Haven't had a game with a static object. What do you mean by static object? Because there were the platforms in Tower Takeover. Those were pretty static. Those didn't really move unless you messed up assembling them. Another launching game. Another twist, like Starstruck. Oh, I feel you, not Arlo. I totally feel you on the having to go to tournaments with half-built bots. That was kind of my whole year this year. That was kind of my whole year. I think I had like 4 robots that were built sort of last minute. That was a pretty common thing for my team this year. Where did it go? There we go. It's in here. Did I save it in the wrong area? have saved it in the wrong area. I'm having trouble finding the model that I just saved. Looks like I'm gonna have to save. I think we are back. Stream dropped out for a second, but I think we should be good. YouTube's telling me I have a good connection. Yeah, that was interesting. We made it 20 minutes and then stream died, but I think we're back. I think we can continue. So yeah, I haven't done anything since stream died, so I just need to add the nut strip now. Okay, where to go? It just had it. Oh boy, we overshot that thing. Okay, let's at least get it on the right plane. Okay, it should be on the right plane-ish now. We back. So, oh man, you just got a 3D printer? 3D printers are great. I use mine all the time. It takes, depending on what kind you get, it can take a lot of fine-tuning to get it to print reliably and consistently and well, but once you get that, it's nice. Okay. Wait, okay. Sometimes the fusion, reset. Nope. Oh, nope. I just had it. Okay, there we go. Let's copy that all the way over there. Now, looks like we're gonna need to, we might need to make some holes, but at the same point, I don't know. I think I'm gonna save that for later. We have a pretty good idea of how we're gonna attach that now, so it's more just a matter of actually doing it than anything else. We'll come back to that. So we also need to make a lid. So question is, what material are we gonna make it out of? Part of me kind of wants to do like a full 3D printed lid so I could get some really cool like contours and stuff. But yeah, let's actually go through and look at the first bot a little bit more in depth. I showed that on the last attempt at the stream, but that didn't work. But I can show you guys at least kind of what I was thinking for the first iteration, so you kind of know what I'm thinking for the second iteration. So here is the first iteration. There are a grand total of too many parts in this CAD. I think there's almost every single screw except in the back and the little motor mounts for whatever reason. Okay, where are the lids? They're towards the bottom top plate. There we go. Okay. So this is causing my computer to hate me, but here's basically the idea. It was a big frame made of two big rails of 1/2 inch aluminum with 2 smaller rails, also of 1/2-inch aluminum, that had this big fork mechanism on the inside. It would have been pretty cool, but these fork mechanisms just take way too much torque to actually power. So that was kind of the big problem with that. So with the forks, they should have been able to like kind of lift itself up, but it would have needed to, some serious overhauling to actually get the forks to be able to self-right, because they just couldn't get back far enough, couldn't get up far enough. The other problem, that was the main problem. It didn't have enough torque within the linkage to lift things, and there wasn't enough room to flip itself back over if it got flipped. So that was kind of the unfortunate problem with that, but it sure looked cool. And also I couldn't really figure out how to mount these motors. That was kind of the other problem. So I just had this weird system of 2 halves of a 3D printed piece that would be zip tied together with this zip tie little channel in there. It was really bad, but there wasn't really a better option because of the big rails here, and it would basically press up against here and prevent the motor from moving out of the 3D printed thing. On second thought, it probably would have been a better idea, albeit still terrible, to use like set screws or something in here. But I don't know, we're completely destroying this idea. So, but yeah, there it is. It did look decent. Now that I'm coming back to it, it looks horrible. But I don't know. So let's come back to this. It looks so monochrome now in comparison. It's pretty sad. Hey, thanks. I think it's pretty nice looking bot too. It's just, I don't know. It could have used a little bit more work in the aesthetics department, but if you work too much in the aesthetics and forget to think about whether or not it actually works, that's a big problem too. Okay. You know what? Let's figure out what we're gonna do for the bottom plate. So I need something that can fit in here and then kind of fit in here too. That's the question. And then I need something that kind of goes in the front here, in between the forks. So for those of you guys in the chat who are going to go to either the Open or Worlds, do you guys have a ton of swag and stickers left over? Because, oh boy, I have probably 200 Outrun Robotics stickers that I just don't like, that we were saving for the Open, and unfortunately that got canceled. But yeah. That kind of sucks, but I guess whatever. It's better that everyone's safe and healthy than everyone's competing. So okay, so we gotta figure out exactly what we want to do here. You have a bunch of stickers. Yeah, I have a whole box of them just sitting here. I have too many stickers. I'm thinking maybe, so this is supposed to be for the, oh, you guys send stickers out to people? That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Ooh, wristbands. That was something that we never really did. We did trading cards last year. Oh, you're from Australia? That's sick. That's one of the places that I'd really like to go. Australia, New Zealand. I'd really like to go to those it's Oceania, right? Am I being a total idiot with the continent? I think it's Oceania. I don't know. I need to... So I'm thinking maybe a tiny sheet of Lexan or maybe even like 1 mil titanium to cover this to kind of prevent everything from falling out. That would also help kind of keep this back plate in a little bit more securely. Either that, yeah, I'm thinking probably just a thin sheet of titanium or my brain wants to say plywood, but no, plywood's a horrible option. Although that would be kind of fun. Okay, it is Oceania. Okay, I was getting kind of nervous for a second. Yeah, at present the only other country I've been to is Canada, and that was for the Kilobots robotics tournament, which was really fun, and I totally want to go again, but it's more a question of kind of how can I make that happen. Okay, let's close out some of these. Yeah, whatever, we'll save that. Okay. So we need to go back here. We need to get some measurements from here. So it needs to be greater than 79. Need to change the music again. That's nice that you still have 2 more years in Vex. Yeah, this was my last year. I didn't qualify, but that was more just me not having time to actually work on making a good robot than anything else. So it's 79 millimeters, 79.7, so almost 80. So like, I don't know, let's just go with 90 millimeters. I'm thinking 2 millimeter plexi. Hopefully you can qualify at least one more time. Yeah. I almost qualified at state, and then I think got beaten skills by 2 points and tipped in finals. So that was a big rip. Yeah. Okay, so what's the distance here? Oh, come on. 393, so 394. Oh, you didn't get to compete at states? Dang, your states must have been really late. Were your states really late then, or? Because I think mine was like beginning of March, maybe? Got canceled the day you were supposed to go. Dang. Save that as... Bottom plate 2. Was this my last year in Vex? Yeah, it was. Hopefully, I can still compete. At the very least, I plan on still kind of prototyping some stuff, because, I don't know, that's fun. And really, it's gonna be on March 14th. Oh, dang. 2 days before. That stinks. That really stinks. Okay, come on. Wait, can I just... I wonder if you can copy bodies between... No, you cannot. You know what? I can just offset plane super tiny bit, like 0.5 millimeters. millimeters. I need to find more music. Your team was ready and hyped to go to Nationals or Worlds, but as of now, Worlds is gone. Yeah, I don't... Worlds is pretty much officially gone. Like, do I know if the college I'm attending has a VexU? It does not. So I was considering doing the sort of do it by myself thing that I've done in the past. But, oh, what? Oh. Okay, I'm gonna need to fix that wheel. Yeah, I don't know. Me competing in VexU at this point really kind of depends on some external factors I cannot control. So, yeah. You know what? No, let's fix this. Okay, that's what that whole thing was. Yep. Okay. So let's try again. Let's capture position. There we go. Now everything's fixed. Just super roughly. No, this is attached to that. So I want to offset plane again. Capture position. Offset plane maybe. Let's just do 1 millimeter. I can move it back into place. Why is stream running at 240p? Probably because I have pretty bad internet to begin with, and also I think someone's watching Iron Man, and I think someone's watching Downton Abbey also on the internet as I'm streaming, so my pretty bad internet is probably getting pushed to its absolute limits. I have done... I think I'm coming up to about a year of working in Fusion 360. I think I have pretty vivid memories of starting it on a bus on my way to, what was it? I think it was Science Olympiad. I did Science Olympiad for a couple of... This is an emulator? What are you talking about, dude? This is actually Fusion 360. What do you mean this is an emulator? Okay, how long is this? 103.978 millimeters. I know a lot of people use, what's the other Autodesk one? Inventor, but I've kind of had to get good at Fusion. No, I'm using a Mac right now, which I know a lot of people aren't big fans of, but I got this thing probably 4 years ago because Macs have pretty good features when using audio stuff, and the Windows just kind of struggles with. That should be in bodies now, right? Yep. Can I... Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm running Mac, which is just kind of not weird. The stream setup is super jank. It's my Mac running into an Elgato game capture card into my desktop because why am I don't remember. I was trying to get streaming working and I was having problems, and that was the reason. It's a weird setup, but that actually looks pretty decent, and I think that's what I'm going to end up going with, something like that where it kind of overlaps. Maybe Plexi or Lexan, or I know some people like Garolite, which I haven't really used. I know some people also use carbon fiber. That's another option. There's a lot of possibilities. It might be bigger than the sheets. I also have some titanium lying around, but it might be bigger than the sheets finger tech cells, which is where I get most of my titanium. That sucks. Fusion's really easy to learn. I think I picked it up in maybe a few hours, and that was without having any CAD knowledge. I think there's some guy on YouTube who makes really good tutorials, and I just followed one of his things, figured out what I needed to know to kind of model. I think it was a motor mount, and then just went from there. I'm gonna do the same for the front. Just got here, Devin. We are CADing a featherweight 30-pound combat robot. So yeah, it's internet's pretty bad as of right now. I'm recording on the side, so hopefully I'll stitch this and the unfortunate first part together, and we'll get both of those together. Good thing I started, or it's a good thing I had the idea to start recording, and it's a good thing my computer can actually handle recording it. It's not amazing quality, but it works. So at the very least, it'd make a cool time lapse, I guess. Yeah, so if I mount it here, let's go 30 millimeters. Now we need to go like 40 millimeters. That's a little bit too far, but let's fix it. Let's go. I think it's gonna be 90. 90's too far. It's gonna be like 98, 97, 96. Sure, let's go with that. Yeah, Fusion is really easy to learn. It's also like basically free, with like an education plan or whatever. SolidWorks is pretty expensive. It seems like everyone in every like college or whatever uses a different CAD software, which makes it pretty. It's like, I don't know. It's pretty dumb. What kind of bot is this going to be? It is going to be it's supposed to be like a lifter. So these forks will extend upward, will lift upward. Trying to think of a robot. The closest bot that I can think of off the top of my head would be like a, sort of like a duck. It's sort of like a duck, but with like two forks, and just the forks actually lift up. Or kind of like an overhaul, but the forks have a much wider range of motion, and it should hopefully be invertible. Yeah, I can't think of a bot that has this exact sort of profile off the top of my head. There probably is one, because it seems like almost everybody... It seems like almost every bot type has been done at some point before. Like even Deep 6, like that crazy thing is... basically just is very similar to Drizzle from the small... from the Beatles over in the UK. Which is, interestingly enough, built by the same guy who made Monsoon. Industry standard is SolidWorks. Yeah. Problem with SolidWorks is that they just... I don't know. They don't do a very good job of making it accessible to people, to hobbyists. I know you can buy it for like it's 50 or $100 a year, but I don't know, Infusion's free. Like, it's just a better option. Now the question is it worth going for just one big plate on the bottom and then using that middle plate as like a reinforcement, or not? The other option is to mount the plate, take this whole assembly. Let's actually just prototype that out really quick. Not inner rail, not fork, not weapon axle, not back plate. Sketchy surplus motor, P61 gearbox, and mid rail. Oh, and then both nut strips. Move copy. You're on a first team and it's free for first teams. I've heard really good things about first. I never got the chance to do it though. It was, the only time it was an option was when it was kind of too late. So we're probably gonna have to move that motor down now. I've heard good things about first. I got to see, there was a big tournament here, and I got to go see that. So that was pretty fun. Ooh. The one problem with that is that I'm gonna have to drill through it to actually make the motors work, but that should, I think that'll be more powerful. More powerful, wow. That should, in theory, be stronger. It should kind of help provide a little bit of compression for the two sides. Not compression, but compression protection. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it like that. I like that a lot, which means that I can then go and body 2, I'll just hide that, make it invisible, and I'll just extend this one. Capture position. Where's the tooltip for extrusion? And we want press pull. The difference between press pull and extrude almost always gets me, and it's one of probably the most frustrating things when working in CAD. Okay. We went a little bit too far. But I need to fix some of this anyway. Let's think of a spinner killer front block. I think I'm gonna try and go with a I think it's gonna be Sportsman. I haven't quite decided yet, so there's only like one big spinner really, because there's kinetic energy rules is basically the is the gist of the class. They want to try and prioritize more interesting, not more interesting designs, but they want to try and basically make it so that some robots that aren't just vertical spinners can actually win stuff, which has historically been a pretty big deal. Why did I choose 27? We're just gonna go with it. 27.689. Your high school had first, but you just decided to do Vex. Yeah. I don't know. I really like Vex. Like that should kind of be obvious by this point, but I don't know. Vex feels like there's a little bit more ingenuity with it because you have to work within the limitations. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Wow, that looks pretty nice. It's a bit too wide on those holes, but I don't know. So I can actually go and move copy that. So we're creating a copy and move that up to the top. It's not perfect. There's still some gap, but we're just gonna leave it for right now. You're starting out in Vex. Well, I hope you have fun. It's been a pretty fun ride for me. Oh boy, that is flat. I might want to do a sort of big decal on it. That's actually really, really, really ugly. I don't know though. Maybe. Those forks are pretty ugly too. I might have to see if I can redesign those. So the question is, let's leave it like that, because now we have a pretty basic idea of exactly if we ever get back to school, that is. Yeah, man, like, it's so weird. Yeah, this is just an absolutely weird year. I think I might actually try and nest the front pieces inside of here. That way they like kind of come up to here, and then I can make the forks bigger. The problem with making the forks bigger is that I'm hesitant about them. I'm hesitant about them actually being like, what am I trying to say? I'm hesitant about them being too long because of the torque factors, which could prove to be quite frustrating, actually. They are quite small compared to the rest of the bot, but yeah. I don't know. I might leave them for right now. I want to try and nail out the rest of it, and then what I'll probably do after this stream and before the video starts, or before the video in this thing, I don't know when it's gonna happen, because I wanna really knock this one out of the park with aesthetics, because I think that could be really fun. But I'm maybe before the next stream, I want to try and stream a lot of the CAD for this thing, because that's kind of an interesting thing to do. But I want to do a Excel spreadsheet or Microsoft Doc spreadsheet to actually try and keep everything like in place, right? Or to make sure I don't overweight this thing, because that could be quite frustrating. So to get to the end and then realize, oh shoot, I weighed too much. So let's get rid of the bottom plate and the top plate again. So what do we still got to do? We got to figure out what we're doing for the front. These things aren't mounted to anything. They're just kind of floating here, which is not good. Not good at all. So how can we fix that? We could extend this shaft through the entire thing. If it's sportsman, I can go crazy with aesthetics. Yeah. The problem is more the wheels. Like, see, look, if I want to kind of do some weird texture thing, I kind of want to make it look like the I kind of want to give it like a sort of like 90s aesthetic, because I think that might be kind of fun after the more semi-80s aesthetic of Blastwave. But what might be fun, if it flips, we'll be able to drive upside down. It should be. You can kind of see the clearance here with a little white in between the wheels. But I want to leave a lot of ground clearance. So I may try and find more I might try and find different wheels. I know Vex actually has some wheels in the Vex Pro line that I might try and go for. I need to find something that's actually bigger than... I need to try and find something that's bigger than 4 inches, because 4 inches kind of seems to be the average for this whole thing, because it goes kind of 4 inches, which is actually what the Vex Omni wheels and the normal Vex, the Vex traction wheels are, and that's what these wheels are, the Banebots. And then it kind of seems like you get much, much bigger. So I might have to see what I can find, because I don't really want to make custom wheels. I don't feel like building a 30-pounder and also building custom wheels at the same time. That feels like it'd be biting off a little bit too much more than I can chew. But we'll see. So let's try and get this front in. I could do nut strip on that too, but I think this is wide enough that I want to do the, I think I'm going to make it the same 1/2 inch aluminum that I have for almost everything else, which should mean that I should just be able to simply countersink holes into it, which is what I plan on doing in the back here, which is why there aren't screw holes there yet, because countersinking holes is absolutely a nightmare. Or making countersunk holes is much more frustrating than making just normal holes like what I did here. Because if you want to do countersunk, you have to do, like, make it an actual hole and then type in the stuff every time. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being lazy. Who knows? We're just going to construct an offset plane, 0.5 millimeter offset, just so that it doesn't stick together. Oh, nice. I can see through this. The real question is kind of rigidity in the, like, whatever this plane is, the plane that kind of, the wide plane, I don't know. I'm a hobby engineer, darn it, I'm not a certified engineer. Okay, got worried that it crashed for a second there. Okay, why isn't that? Okay, there we go. Now we can extrude it. Ooh. Okay, that works for now. What I might actually want to do is use almost like a pillow bearing here. My goodness, the stream is not having fun right now with the resolution. Might do like a pillow bearing sort of thing, extend this out here. That way, this front plate supports this more, and we get double support on here. And then I can stand off back here to these middle plates, and then stand off here. Use some gigantic standoffs from McMaster-Carr, like some crazy like 1032 standoffs that are just absolutely gigantic. I'm kind of liking that idea. I'll probably try and do that next. Oh boy, that's like really, really close. It's not gonna give a ton of room for what am I saying? It's not gonna give a ton of room for like a bearing. Will my wheels be exposed? So a couple things about that. So exposed wheels kind of have, yeah, like No Luber said, it's pretty good that it's because it's sportsman, we don't have to worry too much about that. But also, if you have wheel guards, there's the chance that they could kind of get crunched into your wheels and impede your movement even more than just losing a wheel. But Yeah, we should be good for right now. So we got to figure out exactly what we're going to do here. If I actually push this back, that's actually not... So if I push this axle back a couple, maybe half an inch, let's actually just prototype that. If I just... Where's the weapon axle? So if I move the weapon axle back maybe 10 millimeters. Oh yeah, that's plenty of room. Yeah. Yep, I'm really liking that. Okay, so I'm gonna grab that plus both forks. Move that back just a little bit. Well, that does decrease it by 10 millimeters, decrease the reach. What I'm thinking is I'm going to use this front plate. And I can use this to support the axle. And that way I don't have to worry too much about actually mounting these bulkheads. Are they bulkheads? I hope that's the right word, but I have a hunch it's not. Ooh, is that is overlapping. Okay, that's close enough. I guess it's not fair to say that there are no spinners in the sportsman category. You have, what's it? Is it Buzzkill that competed at Motorama? But it has to be more sawing action than... It has to be either sawing action or extremely low RPM for it to be considered sportsman legal. So you have, I think you have Buzzkill, and I think there might be a couple of robots with really, really big saws that act more like spinners than saws because they have pretty few teeth, but those are pretty few and far between, and you're much more likely to come up against a lifter, grabber, or hammer. Hammers are pretty popular too. So I'm gonna need a configuration where I have maybe like 16 gauge steel or something. That's what I'm using on the wedge for StompBot, and if I can barely dent that pounding as hard as I can, that should be plenty fine for a 30 pounder, because I weigh a lot more than 30 pounds. Okay, why are you selecting everything? I'm kind of considering doing like little 3D printed things that kind of like add some texture on the front. So it's like metal backed, but then you have like these just extremely, extremely light 3D printed things with maybe like 2% infill or something that add like texture on the front and maybe on the back. On the back, I could maybe even get away with using like just 100% infill plastic gears. I have a friend who actually uses completely 3D printed plastic gears like in the power for a lathe. So it's like really, really old lathe with like gears that go like pretty slow, right? And then I think it's metal gears up at like the higher RPMs, but like when it's just trying to like, when it's like at the very, very low RPM range of the gear train, it uses like all plastic gears. And those things hold up pretty well. That's where all the jumps for Blastwave get machined, is on that lathe, and it's working pretty fine with plastic gears, surprisingly. I would not have called it, but yeah. So I'm assuming that it could probably withstand some pretty decent impacts, especially if I thicken it up a little bit and make it maybe like almost an inch thick. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for that much aesthetics though. It'd be a pretty big sacrifice. I think the biggest thing at this point is trying to find wheels, and okay. I think the biggest thing at this point is trying to find wheels and That's what it looks like all... Might need to put things in the back to prevent it from getting stuck. What do you mean by that? To prevent it from getting stuck. Are you saying like a little slant back here? Or what do you mean? Because it should have enough ground clearance that, unless, you know, it's like the floor in the Tombstone Minotaur fight. Minotaur? I've been listening to too many people from England talk about robot combat that it's starting to bleed over. Yeah, I don't think I've heard anyone from the States say Minotaur in probably 4 months or something. It's been just a British podcast saying Minotaur. Dang. Because the back is flat, a slant. Yeah, I guess you're right. I think I am going to go for some sort of like a 3D printed thing back here, and that should hopefully prevent it. But for this design, the forks should also go fast enough and have enough mass that I could like kind of slam the forks back and forth to wiggle myself back off of it. But that is, yeah, I don't want this robot to do the thing. That'd be pretty bad. So, you know what, let's actually just try and CAD that. Yep, capture position. I didn't want it to start sending everything back. Okay, let's just get a simple thing going through. Then, so what's halfway? Halfway is 196.5 millimeters. So let's go 40 millimeters in. 38 to the edge, so let's go 30. Let's go, go 30 on the other side. Okay, so it's 40 and then 30. And this is just like prototyping. I kind of want to go for like a sort of Blastwave was synthwave inspired, so I kind of want to go for like an almost vaporwave inspired aesthetic. I just think that would be super fun. You know what? Let's just see. Okay, I'm kind of digging this shape. That looks pretty good. So then let's extrude this maybe 15. Does 15 millimeters look right? Sure. And then we'll do the same thing to the others. 10 millimeter fillet. If I pull that, it still doesn't look super vaporwave yet. What I want to do is kind of look at the Sega Dreamcast. I can't pull up a picture right now, but it's like an old 90s video game console. And so what I kind of want to do is make it sort of like that. Let's see what this looks like if I pull it out to the entire back end of the... Just do that. Pull this all the way over here. So I really want to have like the classic vaporwave, like Roman like statues and stuff, and I don't know if I want to print that on the top, like use like a decal or something, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think that could be a really fun. So let's fill it all the corners again. And this time, I'll just extrude it 10 millimeters. That way it gets a little bit more That way the entire thing is a bit more... I'll have to flesh out that corner a bit more. Oh, but if I go all the way out to the edge, that'll make screws a bit more difficult for mounting. I guess I could screw it through that, or I could use socket cap instead of countersunk and then just kind of put holes into it. That's an option. Let's really quick try this. Where is it? Okay. You know, if I really went with it, that could be pretty cool. But it would make the corners harder to deal with. So I'd almost have to try and do something. I don't know. That's the question. What do I want to do? If you guys in chat have any suggestions, feel free to let me know what I could do better, because there's definitely something I could do better. I need to like almost sketch it out or something. It'd be kind of cool to do like the sort of classic like neon stuff. Okay, I need to change the music because I'm not feeling this right now. Here we go. Let's play some stuff from Rocket League X Monster Cat. Because that's all pretty good music. Yeah, let's go with this. Capture position. There we go. Let's go back here. Let's go in 20. That'll give me plenty of room for screws, and they won't even need to be countersunk, but it'd probably look better if they were countersunk. Make it look like the Neon Mountain backgrounds? Yeah, like this sort of synthwave outrun stuff. That feels like that's treading a bit too much on Blastwave's territory though, because I want to make this one visually distinct. Is 40 enough? Yeah, that looks pretty cool. If I 3D print it, oh yeah, that would be a nightmare to model though. If I'm thinking, right, are you saying like a 3D printed or like a three-dimensional mountain background? That could be pretty cool. Like three-dimensional and sort of like popping out. That could be pretty cool. But that also seems like that could be one of those things that's just like a nightmare to model. Here's what I'm kind of thinking. I kind of want to go all the way across. We're getting really into the aesthetics of this bot right now, but that's cool. It's occurring to me that this might not match up because I don't think it's exactly any number of... It would be hard, but it has the potential to be absolutely worth it. Oh, okay, I did this backwards. Command Z a few times. was wondering why it wasn't looking right. That's one of those things where it's like, it'd be incredibly interesting to like make, but I've tried to learn Blender many times, and Blender is one of those things that I just cannot wrap my head around. And that's one of those things where it's like, you could do it in Fusion, but is it worth it? That's the question. Is it worth it to do it in Fusion? To this day, I still think probably the most beautiful combat robot in terms of just pure aesthetics is probably either Foxic or Foxtrot from Team Danby. I will always say those are probably the most amazing robots just in terms of just pure aesthetics. I want them to do well so bad. I was cheering for Foxtrot, not Foxic, when it was fighting. Oh boy, this is gonna be real fun to add all the fillets to. I was cheering real hard when they fought Death Roll, and just didn't happen. What? What? What even is this thing? Try opening up the fillet tool again. Okay. Okay, I think it's working again. Nope, nope, Command Z. Okay, looks like... Okay, I'm just gonna wait until... Oh, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to extrude all of this, and then I'll just fillet all of them at once using the external fillet tool, which shouldn't affect the... Yeah. Yep. I think you can kind of see an idea of what I'm trying to do here. Get in there. Okay, let's just see if this works. Where's the one that I move? It's all the way on the edge. 10 millimeters. Yeah. Appreciate the optimism. I think this is going to turn out pretty well too. It's always just a matter of trying to balance the aesthetics with the weight and also functionality. This is one of those cases where like the aesthetics is going to really help out the function, where like we can have something cool that also manages to look awesome at the same time and really fit the theme. It's going to be more about how I manage this than... Oh, not that fillet. There we go. It's going to be more about how I manage this. There we go. I missed one. gonna be really about how I like manage the rest of the aesthetic and kind of any tweaks I want to make. That really is gonna be what defines this sort of as a vaporwave robot. Not a vapor bot, because I hope that this thing's actually gonna come out and not just be vapor and talk. But, oh, come on. There we go, I can start doing out and that. Okay. Let's fill it all in. Ooh. I really like it when it's only slightly indented. But I also do like it when it's all the way. I'm gonna blend radius too big. Oh, okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, blend radius too big. What's the problem here? It's got 56 edges. That is quite interesting. Why does it say 30 millimeters? Okay, 1 millimeter looks pretty bad. 10 millimeters looks decent. I don't know. Is he gonna like it? Okay, it accepts it. I think if I fill it this corner too and make that work, I think that could really go pretty far to enhancing the aesthetic. But then the question is this SolidWorks? This is Fusion 360. Because I am too cheap to buy SolidWorks. Although SolidWorks is one of those things where it's like, I feel like I'm gonna have to know it eventually, so maybe I should just pick it up now. Maybe. That's the question. That looks... I'm trying to decide whether this looks really good or really, really bad. Let's edit feature and let's change it to like, I think 2.5 looked pretty good. Not 2.5.00. What if we just go 5? Nope, not 500. 5.00. My computer is struggling right now to try and figure this thing out. No, chamfer cannot be created. I kind of like having a little bit straight on there. Okay, so let's try something. Let's zoom in here. See what happens if I do this and select this. It's not going to line up, and that's going to probably drive me and a few other people crazy. That also doesn't line up, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Let's... Oh. 5 looks pretty good. I think that would look good. So let's try it. Oh. Okay, so I can't edit that because that's part of the backplate file, so I need to go and like actually change that. Go here. There we go. I might have to flip it around, but let's... Save that. I can always go revert it back if I need to. Okay, we should probably save the main file too, and then get all latest, because that could prove to be. It's on the wrong side, so we gotta go flip it. Darn. Backplate. I'm gonna move copy. Oh, that's its own thing. I thought that was... Oh. Okay, that goes a long way to actually enhancing the look. We could also, and this is maybe potentially slightly... Okay, what's happening with my zoom? This may be a bad idea, but it might be kind of cool to see this kind of go over and almost clip onto the back. That would help kind of break up the top a little bit, because the top looks very flat. This looks pretty decent. It also looks kind of terrible. The jury's still out on that one. The jury's still out on that. Do I know if any other team would hit the lower tower part of the tower to descore partially scored cubes? I know I've done it in practice. I can't remember any team that would do it. The pipe part of the tower? I think I've seen teams hit the top part to descore partially scored cubes, like with the back of the tray, but I don't remember seeing anyone actually hit the bottom part. I know I could do it. I think I did it in practice a few times, just because I was too lazy to stand up and actually take them out, but I do not know. It's been a while since I actually had a competition. I think it was like end of February or something. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been dang like 2 months since I did a Vex competition, and it's gonna be even longer now because Worlds in the Open are canceled. So the question is, what you guys in the chat weigh in on what you think of the back area. It's supposed to look sort of like 90s, almost like vapor wavy. Don't really know. Your team managed to make it working 100% of the time? Yeah, I mean, it's probably like where you hit it, and also probably dependent on like how the cube's placed in there. So if any other team had it working. I know I was able to do it a little bit, but I don't think I ever did it in a match. I was too busy. Yeah, it was... Oh, I should fix this corner too. Looks okay? Okay. I'll leave it for right now. I think it needs work though. I think I'm gonna need to adapt it. I think the main thing, my main problem, is that I don't know what to do here. Like this flat part. That might look better if I have bolts there. Or if I have countersunk bolts there. I could even almost kind of like have this extend out between the bolts to kind of give some separation. But I'm trying to kind of break up that flat area. Okay. Do I do Vex, or are you talking to the other people in the chat? Because I've done a lot of Vex. I've done... Oh boy. We're probably getting close to like 500... it's gotta be more than that. Maybe 1,000 hours of Vex at this point. Not anywhere near the 10,000 hours you need to be an expert at something, but pretty close to a tenth of that. Let's get rid of these top and bottom plates. Let's rename this. Scared that the cube was gonna hit a stack down. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I ever had problems with that, like with cubes and stuff. Nah, I don't really. Cubes don't bounce, or at least in my experience, cubes bounced surprisingly less than you'd expect. Did I cube it? Now you're doing Vex? Yeah. I never did the IQ program. I kind of wish I'd gotten the chance to now, because it'd be pretty fun to say I competed in all the main Vex competitions, but I did first LEGO League through a library instead, and that was fun. But I don't know. VR. I wish First Lego League was more like VRC, but with Legos. You think you hit 300 hours? I kind of wish I'd been able to like track time. I know I had like some weekends where I spent over 40 hours or 50 hours in the like on the field and playing. Kind of liking this is that the mid rail is managed to state your first full year in IQ. So what I think we need to do is, because this is now like kind of splitting the whole thing, I need to add some sort of like a hole in here to kind of route wires in. Person in your academy got 600 hours in Turning Point. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You can 40. But that's not counting competitions. Yeah. My goodness. By the end of most competitions, my feet were so worn out that it was just getting absolutely not fun to stand anymore. It's going to be really hard to like actually make these fillets in real life, but shoot. But I'm gonna add them because I think it looks really, really good. It's on 1010Z. Okay. There we go. Okay, what's going on? Why am I in move copy? There we go. I think I went to move copy instead of extrude. Okay. So now we have a little hole. That might be too close to the center. I don't know. We're going to save it. We're going to update it. We're going to see what happens. Yep, that's too close to the center. Okay. So we're going to undo that whole thing. We're going to go 150 was too much. Let's go 70. New ideas only. Honestly, I'd recommend picking up, at least for 1 year, just trying to start with the meta, or at least something kind of close to it. Because once you understand how to make the meta 1 year, you'll understand kind of what makes a competitive robot, and that's kind of what I did. But then also just said absolutely. It's a lot harder to copy than it seems. It is. Especially when you're trying to like, I remember trying to build like my first double reverse 4-bar, that even with like all of the resources that were available, that was very, very tricky. Okay, I'm liking that. Okay, let's get the latest again. It's gonna be way on the other side, right? Yep, it's on the wrong side. Okay, so we gotta find the mid rail. We gotta rotate it. Okay, we're gonna actually have to nudge that over just a tad because it's a little bit close to that, but I'm gonna leave it for right now because it kind of gets the point across. I'm kind of thinking batteries in the back and then speed controllers here. Wish you were able to go against 7K in finals. Yeah, that's one of my big things, is like I really wish I would have gotten to compete against 7K. I would have gotten absolutely crushed, but they're amazing. Like, my goodness. I think I had like something like 200 in skills by the end of the year, and that was just absolutely nuts. Okay, so what do we got to do now? So let's just try and oh yeah. If I do that. No. So I need to figure out only time you were close once, got cube stuck in your bot. Dang. Yeah, I think 7K probably would have taken skills at Worlds this year, or at least... Oh, it was 210 driver. Yeah, 306, my goodness. So I'm kind of thinking battery in the back. And then Chill Dudes, though, yeah, they're super nice. I got to talk with them at the Open and Worlds last year. What happened to that? I thought I copied that. I accidentally... Wait. Oh, never mind. I just accidentally made the other one invisible. Question is, what do we do now? Let's put on the top plate and the bottom plate to see exactly how it looks. What kind of number should you choose? What I did is I chose something that was relatively low and then also kind of just sounded cool. It's your high school's first year. Oh, that's already taken, not Arlo. That is definitely already taken. I'm surprised that's even a Vex allowed number. Yeah, I'd choose something kind of low that rolls off the tongue and is relatively easy to remember. You don't want to have it be like, I don't know. You don't want to have it be like some just ridiculous code number. But you also don't want it to be too simple because it's probably already taken. I think you can go on probably either VexDB or the official RECF website and see what's already taken. Ooh. I'm gonna try and copy this to the front. The thing about team numbers that's important to remember is that... Oh, okay, that's how that thing's turning. Is that it actually... If a team number is already taken, you can't take it back. Like, someone's already taken. If someone's already taken it, you can't have it by just adding an L or something. Because those are all supposed to be for schools or teams within like one organization, like a school, or sometimes Boy Scout groups have them, or other things like that. Okay, so let's get the forks out of the way. Let's create sketch. Oh, you know what? If I do this, and do there. I need to go back and extend that other one a bit more. Nope, that's not right. Come on. It dominated in a comp. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's a lot of times teams who have like a sense of humor tend to do pretty well too. I mean, there's always the teams that just like put a ton of time into it, though. They always do well too, but like a lot of times it's okay. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do ugly CAD time and just do that. There we go. How many numbers is the max in Vex teams? I think it's 5 or 6. Okay. Okay, so we have that. That is just an ugly polygon. So we need to -10. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm liking this. Let's do that. Copy this. Oh, come on. Don't you want that? Oh, it's a bit too long, but I think I can extrude that by looking nice now. Thanks. It's just a little bit of flatness. Oh no, that's right, I can't extend it anymore. If I just move these both. You know what, we'll just do that just for right now, just to kind of get that going. Okay, where is it? There we go. I'm just gonna copy this thing, rotate it. Okay. Can't get it too close. I still don't quite know if these are gonna be like screw-on attachments or if the entire front piece is going to be 3D printed. Let's see how this looks with the forks. Kind of look like bow ties. Gonna have to go because it's 11 p.m. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It was fun hanging out. Let's see. We're gonna leave it like that for right now. It kind of gives an idea of what I'm thinking. I need to kind of maybe do a little bit more research on what I'm exactly thinking in terms of everything, but let's see. I still don't know what I'm gonna do for wheel hubs. I still don't know what I'm gonna do for wheels. That's another good question. I gotta redesign these. Whoa. Okay. Let's see. What do I still gotta do? So I still gotta put standoffs between here and here, but I might make custom standoffs. I might see, because I have a lathe, and I know you can make custom standoffs if you have a lathe. So I might try and do that. And I need to figure out more how to mount the motors here. Probably have to look and see what other teams have done for that. I might have some sort of thing that like screws in and sort of sandwiches this base between the wall, because there's a little bit of a lip on the outside. Sort of what I did on the original version of this CAD. Still need to decide a name for this bot. Might have something that kind of sandwiches that in, but I haven't quite decided yet. I need to see what other teams do. I could also maybe do set screws, but that feels like just a horrible idea waiting to happen. But if I do that, then that takes up a lot of weight. Because I need to have 4 of them. And oh, okay, that's a little bit too tight. This is going to be interesting, trying to kind of pack everything in here. It's huge, but there's not a ton of room. I might put... So let's kind of plan out where we can fit speed controllers. So I think I can fit 2 speed controllers here, and another one here. I might be able to stack them, but that's a good question. Like, that's something I can do. I could maybe fit them here, depending on how big they are. Let's see. I need to grab a drink. Good thing I brought water. Okay, so I haven't quite decided what speed controllers I want to do. Probably something from Hobby King, because I don't think I can afford to buy something like a Rage Bridge. As much as I would love to buy a Rage Bridge, I don't think that's in the cards. So I was looking at some sort of like cheap. I think they were supposed to be like boat ESCs or car ESCs or something. No, they were car ESCs because they could reverse, and they were roughly square, but I don't know like what size they are, and I can't really look it up because everything's kind of tied up right now. But roughly I'm kind of thinking one here, maybe one back here, depending on how this whole thing shakes out. Battery's gonna go back here. There's kind of nowhere else to put it. I don't really want to extend this whole thing anymore, just because that could be more difficult than it's worth. What's the budget? I guess kind of however much I feel like spending. I'm trying to keep the whole thing kind of under 300 for the rest of it, which is going to be tight, but considering that I already have 2 whole sets of motors that I got for like 50 bucks, and PLA is basically free. I'm not counting that in because I can use PLA or 3D printing stuff for basically a whole bunch of other projects that I have enough of that it's basically free at this point. So I have the motors. I need to get like pinions for it. I need to get the gearbox, which is like 60 or 70 bucks. Then sprockets. The wheels are pretty cheap. Then I think the plan is to get cheap extrusions of aluminum off Amazon, because you can get there was someone selling them on Amazon for relatively cheap, so that's kind of what I plan to build this off of. Pretty tight? Yeah, it's gonna be tight, but I don't know. I feel like there's no other way I can really build a 30-pounder, and I feel like if I'm doing Sportsman, I can be a little bit more lenient with the whole design of it compared to like a full combat Sportsman where you basically have to be running brushless. You have to be willing to just give up your entire robot because I kind of want to have something that I can like run at maybe 4 or 5 events and not have to do too much maintenance, or at least like it's not going to go home after one in a trash bag, right? Which is what would absolutely happen if I went into the full combat space. So I think I can get ESCs for like 20 or 30 bucks a piece. I need maybe 3 or 4 of them. It's probably going to end up being more like 500 once I account for spares, but my goal is to kind of keep it around 300 for one, not counting everything that I have so far. So not counting motors and not counting filament, and probably a lot of screws, because I'm kind of getting to the point where I have most of the kind of screws that I would need. I guess I'm going to need more screws for this because they're a bigger size, but yeah, that's kind of the goal. This is hopefully going to be a little bit of a sort of stay-at-home bot that I can hopefully build with mostly the tools I have without a thing. BattleBots by 2030? I hope so. I hope so. For that, it's more about, I want to build at least one 30-pounder before I hit up BattleBots, because I want to have kind of a track record. I kind of want to try building a heavy for Maker Faire, Orlando Maker Faire, because that's kind of the only heavy tournament. But that'd be, I don't know, that's a bit more money than I'm willing to spend in a robot at this point. I was looking, and like, if I want to go for like the cheapest possible option and buy like a hoverboard, hoverboard's still like $100, and that's just for 2 motors, and it's not like I can buy spare hoverboards. So that's rough. That is very, very rough. Well, I am kind of out of ideas for what I need to do right now. I think almost everything I have to do requires modeling other things from dimensions, like modeling speed controllers and figuring that out, or inserting stuff. Let me try, and let me see. 4-inch long standoff. I was using some of these standoffs, and let's just kind of see where we could put standoffs. Yeah, it's like 5 inches or something ridiculous. And these aren't like the wimpy Vex standoffs. These things are beefy. They're like 1/2 inch across. Like, they just absolutely dwarf the Vex standoffs. You know what? Yeah, let's build a standoff, and then we'll call it a night. Let's build something that can go from here to here, because I want to kind of do, I think, 2 or 3 standoffs between the wall and the mid-rail. And then when you couple that with the extra bearings that I'm going to put up here, that should be plenty. Add a self-rider. I don't think I'm going to need a self-rider for this build, because these forks should be able to go perpendicular, like straight up. And also it should be invertible, so I shouldn't have to worry about having a self-rider. But yeah, because this should be able to flip me over if I leave enough like range of motion on them. Because at present they should be able to turn all the way back to like here and kind of come back here. Oh. What? Oh, okay, that standoff just kind of got thrown in there. Okay. So, let's inspect this. Let's do this. 140.9 millimeters. Let's just call it 140 millimeters. Oh wait, I need to figure out what my... I think I'm gonna go with 4.8 millimeters for 10/32 screws. I need to go to McMaster. I'm just gonna go back to this for a second. I'm gonna pull up McMaster on my other computer. You guys can't see this. Screws. I think it was 1/4 inch 20 is what I was using before. So I just need to pull up the product detail page. It's a 1/4 inch in diameter, which I should have guessed because it's 1/4 inch 20. 1/4 inch to millimeter, 6.35. I probably could have done that in my head, but I didn't feel like it. So I know it's possible to build these standoffs on a lathe, so that's what my plan is. So that's the hole for the screw. I want this to have plenty of like space, so we'll go with 12 millimeters. It doesn't need to be hollow, but that's the easiest thing to do for actually making these models. Okay. Oh boy, that is long. Okay. Okay, come on. Insert that into the current design. There it is, just chilling out up there. Oh my goodness, that is long. I did something wrong. I did something very wrong. Okay. Inspect. Come on. 140. That's what I did wrong. Okay. So if I do this and then just -50. I did something wrong there. That is a massively long standoff. My goodness. There we go. Save. I'll rename that later. That is if it loads. Okay, so let's add a few of these in. I'm thinking either 2 or 3 to kind of keep these main things in place. Okay, so we're gonna do that, then that. 90 degrees. Okay. Okay, now we'll go around back. Oh boy, that's a bit high, don't you think? Copy. That's good, okay. So now I'll move that again, but we'll create a copy this time. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Shoot. Create copy, there we go. Ooh. Yeah. That looks good. I can still get wires through there. So now then, we'll copy all three. Move them over to... I think that's still a bit too long. But it's close enough. Okay. Well, it is getting quite late, and I've been streaming for I think 2 hours when you count for the first 30 minutes or so that got axed. So I think that's where I'm gonna call it today. I'm gonna save this so that I don't lose it, because that would suck. I mean, I guess I could always just watch through the recording again. I'm probably gonna take the stream down maybe tomorrow and re-upload the enhanced version of the stream. Thank you guys for watching. This was really fun. I'll probably do this again. I need to do some more planning and stuff, but I think this is gonna turn out pretty well. So thank you guys for watching. Yeah. If you're watching this, I'm sure you're already fans of the channel, but yeah, I highly recommend watching the Kilobots stream, or the Kilobots video, because that's still one of my favorites. I don't know, I'm trying to outro this like a YouTube video. It's weird. So I'm just gonna wait for the stream to catch up to my voice, and then I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.